Wedge Antilles was born on Corellia to Jagged and Zena Antilles, a core world known for ship manufacturing. Along with the manufacturing of many of the galaxy's ships, Corellia is known for turning out great pilots. Wedge cut his teeth piloting cargo ships and working with them at a fuel depot. Like many teens during the early days of the Galactic Empire, Wedge saw his best chance at becoming a serious pilot through the Imperial Navy. He enrolled in Sky Strike Academy. The academy was located on the planet Montrose. It was considered one of the most prestigious institutions within the Imperial Navy. Wedge excelled in his practical training as an elite TIE pilot. During his time there, he met Derek Clivian, better known as Hobby, and Rake Guri. His training was going great, but Wedge was becoming disillusioned with the Empire's methods. A rebel transport was cornered by the Empire and surrendered. Instead of taking the survivors prisoner and impounding the ship, the Empire massacred the lot of them. This was the last straw. Wedge reached out to a secret rebel agent codenamed Fulcrum. He expressed his desire to join the rebellion and fight for what was morally right. In 2 BBY, Fulcrum contacted a small rebel cell. One of the members of this cell was a Mandalorian named Sabine Wren. She infiltrated the academy using the alias Rhea Tala. As Sabine worked to extract Wedge and his fellow cadets, Hobby and Guri decided to join as well. This was a major victory for the Alliance. Not only did they gain skilled pilots, they showed a major weakness in the Imperial military. Wedge proved time and time again to be an incredible asset to the rebellion, all the way into the New Republic. He flew many combat missions and also helped train his fellow recruits. He was a skilled pilot and also had an insight on Imperial tactics and training techniques. Wedge was involved in countless battles, so we'll just cover the higher profile ones. Early in his rebel career, he was part of Red Squadron. Unfortunately, he was injured before the Battle of Scarif and couldn't fly. He provided ground support and helped get the able-bodied pilots ready for the battle. This battle saw the Rebel Alliance get their hands on the plan for the Empire's planet-killing superweapon, the Death Star. With heavy losses during the Battle of Scarif, Wedge had to be ready not so long after when the Death Star was bearing down on the Rebel base on Yavin 4. He flew a T-65 X-Wing starfighter under the callsign Red 2. He and the rest of Red Squadron fought their way through the TIE fighters while dodging the Death Star's many turbolaser batteries. He was one of just a few pilots left as they helped clear the way so that Luke Skywalker, Red 5, could make his fateful trench run. Wedge's ship sustained heavy damage and he had to pull back before Luke destroyed the Death Star. During the Battle of Hoth, or more accurately, the Rebel evacuation of Hoth, Wedge was part of Rogue Squadron. He flew a T-47 airspeeder with a gunner, Wes Jansen. Wedge and Jansen were the first team to successfully bring down an Imperial AT-AT Walker using a tow cable to trip it. The battle was ultimately lost, but the rebels delaying the Imperial troops allowed many to escape. Red Squadron was reformed for the Battle of Endor. This time, Wedge was Red Leader. Rebel losses were high as the fleet flew into an Imperial trap. Wedge kept his head and did everything he could do to take down the enemy ships. When the second Death Star shields were brought down, Wedge joined a few other skilled pilots on a risky flight through the unfinished battle station. He had to bow out early on the attack against the first Death Star, but this time, Wedge was able to destroy one of the crucial power regulators of the station's core. This contributed greatly to the destruction in a massive way. The Emperor was presumed dead and the Empire itself shattered, but not fully defeated. Wedge got a new command. He led Phantom Squadron against Imperial remnants holding out on Kashyyyk. The Wookiees had long been a target for slave labor by the Empire. Wedge and his men wanted to do something about it once and for all. The mission was a success, but Wedge had never received the all-clear from Rebel Command to execute it. As a punishment for disobeying orders, Phantom Squadron was disbanded. The dissolution of Phantom Squadron didn't last long. The Imperial remnant put aside their infighting and formed up for a big push against the New Republic. A massive battle formed over the remote planet Jakku. Jakku hid long-running Imperial research facilities and was also used as a hub for Imperial ships before heading into the unknown regions of space. The battle was fierce. Casualties were high on both sides. The Republic fleet in the air was backed up by air-to-ground attacks that turned the fight in the Republic's favor. A full galactic standard year after the Emperor's presumed death and the destruction of the Second second Death Star, Imperial forces finally admitted defeat, and the Galactic Concordance was signed. Wedge went into semi-retirement after the Empire was finally defeated. He had served a lifetime. He'd been involved in countless battles and escaped death more times than he could remember. He became a flight instructor on the New Republic capital of Hosnian Prime. He met fellow former rebel Nora Wexley, and the two fell in love and married. Not long after, they took a further step back from military life and settled on Nora's home planet, Akiva. Wedge focused his attention on gardening. Despite no longer being involved in combat or even training others for it, he was still a celebrity in his own right. He had a good relationship with his stepson, Temmin Snap Wexley. In 35 ABY, the New Republic was devastated. The Imperial remnant reformed into the First Order. An even larger threat presented itself from a cult called the Sith Eternal. They had a massive fleet of Imperial-class Star Destroyers, each armed with a planet-killing weapon based on Death Star technology. The Republic fleet, along with every group, no matter how big or small, that was sick of the constant war in the galaxy, turned up to fight. Wedge was back in a starfighter, fighting alongside longtime friends and allies. His experience and leadership helped with the day, but his stepson, Snap, was killed in combat. Wedge is remembered by his peers as a skilled pilot, leader, and good friend. He led a life of bravery and loyalty. He'd often reflect on his beginnings as an Imperial pilot and how he came to find the Rebel Alliance. He never would have made it as an Imperial, not for lack of skill, but because he never wavered in his determination to protect individual freedoms. As a quick aside, Wedge Antilles has no relation to Captain Ramus Antilles of the Tantive 4, but I do have a transmission all about Ramus right here.